All right. Well, I don't know if anyone's going to show up, and that's okay if you don't. That's all right. I'm not going to be too passive aggressive about it. I will explain a little bit, though, at the beginning of this. You know what? I was a little triggered when I saw Caleb mopping, and then I felt better. Hey, what's going on, Uni Army Ball? I'll admit I was a little triggered when, he said those things. It was kind of petty. And I was, once again, I was caught in my feelings. I will be honest with Gitler Pol Pot. I was caught in my feelings a little bit on that. But anyway, I know that's like a week ago. Just had some mini mental breakdowns at school. I mean, the thing is, if you've been to college, you have these mini breakdowns. They happen. You just have to, it's been a while since I've had a breakdown at college because honestly, the past couple of semesters have been fairly smooth. So I didn't really think too much about it. It's been a while since I've had a good mental breakdown, and it's like, but it's okay. Honestly, it's like you have that breakdown for like 5 minutes. It's like I'm thinking that movie Real Genius. It's a favorite of my parents, but I'm going to say hi. Okay, that's fine. Have a good night, Red Dundonian. Sweet dreams. I'm not going to be too no homo on that, but yeah, just have a good night. No problem. I will say though is that if you've seen the movie Real Genius, and there's this bit where they're doing homework and whatnot, and there's this guy sitting at the table and they got the music, they got the song do 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 in the making, and this guy is sitting at the thing, and they're sitting at the table studying, and this one guy goes ha ha ha, he gets up from the table and just starts screaming, and he runs off, and then they just move all the books that they're reading over to where he was sitting. And that's kind of how it is in college. I had a mini meltdown, and I'm just like, okay, let me move on to the next thing. That's how I felt. I'm like, there was something to do at 11 o'clock. I'm looking at the clock. It's 11:30. I'm like, fug. And it was something simple too. But anyway, I'm just like, fug. So I'm just like, all right, next thing. It's like, next thing. Okay, next. Anyway, so it's been kind of wild. I do have stuff to do tomorrow as well, and of course for a while. So there's gonna be less streams, just in because we're trying to get everything figured out and everything. Blah blah blah. Everything. Anyways, I figure I will highlight a video though. Why not? I gotta go. Okay, I'll see you, Junior Army Ball. It's all good. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and share this, and we'll get this out of the way. Okay. I will go ahead and leave this up, though, for now. So I do want to highlight this guy, Socialist Swan. Take this off. That was boring as hell. But basically, Socialist Swan is a history major, I guess, from the United Kingdom, and he did a video about, he's doing a series of videos about the German Democratic Republic. They aren't too bad. I'm just going to show you a clip of these. I'll go ahead and share his link for later. Like I say, there's nobody watching, or there's one person watching. Excuse me. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and drop this in here. There we go. That's a link to his channel. Why not? And this is the link to the video we're going to watch. Drop that link there. There we go. But yeah, I'm not going to watch every minute of this, but we'll go ahead and see what it's about.
One of the major talking points against the GDR is its supposed lack of democracy. A common phrase is, quote, if it has democratic in the name, it clearly means it isn't. This is a huge underestimation of how the GDR actually ran.
German Democratic Republic is pretty fascinating, though. Yeah. I've seen this guy Paul Morin streams. He defends the Stasi unironically. Yeah, that Paul Morin. He's a very, not to be too homo, but he's a fairly good looking chap. He's a little too pretty for the bread tube folk, or excuse me, just the left tube folks, because I know there is a distinction. He's a little too pretty, isn't he? At least in my view. But yeah, we'll go ahead and watch this a little bit here. But yeah, Socialist Swan apparently is going to be on that Paul Morin stream, I guess on Friday.
Society.
I am becoming more southern on Friday. Going out on Friday. Go ahead.
And clearly shows an ignorance towards it. Yes, democracy in the GDR was nothing like that in the West. But this isn't exactly a negative thing, as it never actually aims to emulate the West and their dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. This was the workers' and peasant state. And as a result, we need to understand how a different type of democracy functioned. Socialist democracy. So
he's from the North. I don't know much about the United Kingdom, but you can definitely tell he's from the North, like Yorkshire, or maybe like he's he's not like Ireland, But you can kind of tell from the accent. It's kind of, got that sort of accent going on. But yeah, kind of interesting.
General Secretary of the Socialist Unity Party, or the SED, Erich Honecker, described it by saying, quote, "Socialist democracy demands political and social activity from everybody and promotes active behavior on the part of
the only real. I'll just kind of make this a short stream since a lot of folks are busy, this and that. That's okay. And but I will go ahead and I do plan on going to bed early because, as you can tell, I am low energy. Sorry about that, folks. I am very low energy though. But I will say the only real complaint of the GDR I have ultimately is just that they were not independent enough. They weren't able to fully break from that stride and fully break away from the Soviet Union. Ooh, sorry. And be able to use some of that German ingenuity to create kind of their own thing. Now I know there are some prototypes from the GDR. I mean, it's very interesting if you think about the GDR. And this is something that has been mentioned. But of course, the helmet that the GDR uses was actually a design that was going to be used in 1942 by the Waffen-SS. And also, of course, the GDR uniform was very similar to that of the German Wehrmacht uniform, And I think it's very interesting to say the least. I think that guys like Paul Morin, though. Nah, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that yet. But yeah, I think that in general, the GDR was just, it suffered from a lot of the mistakes that a lot of these other countries did. Is that they were just fiefdoms of Russia, basically. And they never really got the complete chance to, what's going on, Will DeMarco? They never really had the chance to break out and do their own thing completely, Don't get me wrong. I mean, there were genuine evolutions that did happen, I think. And of course, like with all socialist countries, they had, free healthcare, great training at jobs. They were much better about unions after 1953. I think overall, it just kind of, they were always going to be Germanic. And I think that it just never really completely turned into anything more. Like I say, that's basically all the complaints I have about the GDR, really. Like I say, I don't know, I'm sorry for being low energy, folks. I apologize. I know these last few streams have been kind of low energy and whatnot. So I do apologize for that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy, yeah. DDR's creation was also helped by people like Nikisch. Yeah, but that's almost never brought up. That's true. That is true. Ernst Nikisch was a big supporter of the German Democratic Republic. And he got kind of tired of the GDR, as far as I know. And then he left and passed away, I think, in 1956. I want to say. I could be wrong. But yeah, you are correct on that, though, Ole. About Ernst Nikisch. Sorry. What the hell am I doing? Okay, sorry. Oh, 1967. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Social Democratic Party follows resignation of Kurt Eisner. Okay, and yeah, he was executed. I remember by the one of the Freikorps, I think. Whole Social Democratic Party of Saxony. Yeah. Arrested by the Gestapo. Yeah, he was in prison. High treason. Oh yeah, he was almost blind, wasn't he? Yeah, which he had become blind. Embittered against nationalism by his wartime experiences, he turned to Orthodox Marxism and lectured in sociology at Humboldt University in East Germany till 1953. When disillusioned by the brutal suppression of the workers' uprising, he moved to West Berlin, where he later died. Oh, okay. That's what I was thinking. I was like, okay. I don't know why 1956 came into my head, but yeah. Ernst Niekisch, of course, along with Karl Otto Peitel. These are very interesting folks. It's unfortunate that I think it's unfortunate, but it's also one of those things where it's just like people can interpret it whatever way they want to. The double-sided coin of Nazgul, if you will. But yeah, it is very interesting to say the least. I don't know. So how are y'all doing? Let me go ahead and ask y'all that. I don't ask y'all that very often. Y'all doing okay tonight? Or today, I should say, depending on what time it is. Y'all doing all right? Just another day and everything else. Yeah, it's kind of interesting me. What's going on? What's going on, Install Gen 2? It's been a while. All's good. That's good. Yeah, Nika should become disillusioned with the DDR. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go ahead and watch some more of this video. Why not? Oh, noon in Kyoto? Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. You get some lunch or something like that, depending on what the culture is like there in Japan.
Everybody, unquote. In practice, this meant the politicization and raising of class consciousness in every part of society. This was put into practice during the 1968 mass discussions on the GDR's new constitution. Unlike the West, the GDR put the new constitution up for a public debate. Data from the Thuringia Bezirk shows that 57%, or 716,077 people to be exact, had taken part in constitutional debates within the first week of them commencing. The Constitution.
The biggest problem I have with this guy's videos is the 3 videos that he's done so far is they all have the same footage. Now, to me, if it were me, I would just find a little bit more footage. I mean, there's plenty of footage, black and white and color, on YouTube. You just use a little bit more footage, Bacon. That's my only real concern. But so far, I don't have a problem with this guy. I think he's all right.
The right to work.
I don't fully agree with him, but
the right to education and the freedom of
religion. Like a villain, that's good.
The debates were broadcast
all 11 p.m. here in the East Coast. Oh, that's good.
Printed in the press and occurred across society. Because of how involved the people were in these.
It was because of the 53 protests in Berlin. He may have been more disillusioned because of the Hungarian Revolution. I'm not sure, but yeah, this is the 53 protests in Berlin. They had construction workers that were building more apartment blocks, basically, and they were really pushing them hard, and that kind of led to a protest. Now, of course, people are going to say, I know what the hardcore MLs are going to say, that the Matankis would be like, well, it was a CIA operation, and they were all enfant terribles and all this type of thing. I mean, who knows? I'm not going to sit here and spread propaganda. I'm just saying is that kind of goes back and forth. But anyways,
debates, the Constitution was accepted by 95% of the population in a
95
vote, and set the GDR firmly on the path of socialism. With that laid out, let's take a look at the makeup of the Volkskammer, or the People's Chamber, and the GDR's government. There existed in the GDR several parties, with some having direct Western equivalents. these being the Christian Democratic Union
Yeah.
to represent Christians in society, the Liberal Democratic Party for small business owners, which did exist.
The thing is, hold on. This is something that I get kind of tired of. Is that they were all loyal to the Socialist Unity Party, the SED. And once again, I mean, I remember that there was a documentary. I'm sure that some of y'all have seen it. That was the DDR. Let me go ahead and look that up. Actually, it's kind of boring because it was made by Germans in 1993, but it is an interesting as hell documentary series about the German Democratic Republic. Let me click on that right quick-a-roo here. That was the DDR. Okay. I don't know if they're going to give me a copyright strike or not. I don't know, but yeah. Let me go ahead and click on this one. This is the first. Actually, I don't want to like the first one because they keep promoting this very boring music. I'll click on Intellect and Power. Actually, you know what? I will click on for the people's welfare. That's much more interesting. This guy's video was pretty good, though. You can go ahead and skip to the end on that.
The next one.
It wasn't too bad. 56 was a major blow for many Western communist parties. Yeah, Alain Soral became Noswell because of it. Yeah, definitely. I mean, once again, this is the whole idea of Euro-communism, I believe. I'm not a big expert on that, but yeah. I'll go ahead and watch a little bit of this. We're not going to watch every minute. Like I said, it's still interesting, though. I still find it an interesting documentary. Even though, just like anything else, there is a bias. But, skip a route here a little bit.
Die bezahlbare Wohnung.
Oh, this is talking about the welfare.
East Germany's social policy guaranteed social security for all its citizens. For most, it was like living in a greenhouse. The state, the social welfare system, trade unions, and businesses all kept very tight control on regulating people's lives. But could the economy keep pace with the huge welfare burden? What was social policy really like in the GDR? The GDR trade union headquarters, where Christina Emmerich used to work.
Ich denke auch für viele Menschen in unserem Lande hat dazugehört der sichere Arbeitsplatz, haben Beziehungen dazugehört, die man im Arbeitskollektiv
We treasure the human relations on the job.
vor allen Dingen hatte, was sich natürlich heute bemerkbar macht, weil sie nicht mehr da sind, haben kulturelle Beziehungen miteinander gehabt, hat sozusagen ein sozial sicheres Leben gehabt. Dazu gehörte eben die
Subsidized
bezahlbare
housing.
Wohnung, gehörten ausreichend Kindereinrichtungen, auch Bildungspolitik war ein Teil der Sozialpolitik nach meiner Auffassung, denn die Sicherheit für den Ausbildungsplatz, die Unterbringung des Kindes im Hort, also ich denke, Sozialpolitik war eigentlich sozusagen oder durchzog alle gesellschaftlichen Bereiche.
Meine Kinder waren groß, aber die Krippe fertig. Also die waren dann Kinder.
Now they use this family quite a bit.
Gartenreif, ja, da war sie
The
dann
Pol, Familie Pol.
Eventuell geschlossen.
Ja, das ist keine Kinder.
Kinderladen, weil zu teuer ist. Zu teuer. Und damals haben wir ja auch bezahlt. Wir haben Trinkmädchen bezahlt für euch.
Ja, Essen, war alles. Ja, also das war, solche Vorteile hatte man damals. Wir haben alle, jedenfalls Jochen, ich, wir nur nicht, im Betrieb gegessen für 1,20 Mark. So viel haben wir am Tag bezahlt, 1,20 Mark. 1 Mark hat noch die LPG dazu.
About 20 per day, or what is that? What is that? $1? 1 mark and 20 pfennings or something like that? Is that how they say it in Germany? I think that's how it is. Works of Soral and Nikic in general. Thing is, I don't like to read much. Yeah, that is difficult. Like I say, I have tried to do it. It's been a while since I've read Gaddafi. I just can't really get into it. You know what I did get? I'll tell y'all this right quick. I did get Caleb Maupin's new book, or his new essay talking about Kamala Harris, which I think does have some good stuff. But I think that in a lot of ways, Caleb Maupin really just kind of jerks himself off basically about how much he knows about history. He kind of misses the point in some way, but I think that it's interesting. I'm going to read it nonetheless because I paid for it, so I might as well. But yeah, It is interesting. Let's watch a little bit more of this, and then I think we'll call it good. We'll go ahead and watch a little more.
Und der Rest wurde gestützt, auch von den Betrieben.
Subsidized.
Fangen wir mal an bei den Ferienlagern, in denen ich auch tätig war als
Vacation
Krankenschwester und Rettungsschwimmer. Da war ich von Ende Mai bis Maximum im September gar nicht auf Arbeit, weil ich im Prinzip das Geld bekommen habe für meine Arbeit und mein
For
Zuverdienst
working the
dazu.
camp. Wow.
Die Kinder waren glücklich, ja. Sie waren zufrieden. Man muss sich mal
Ja.
überlegen, wenn ein Platz in Aalbeck, das war an der Ostsee, da waren
Aalbeck.
wir 12 Tage, da haben wir 12 Mark bezahlt. Und dann ging es
Wow.
danach, wie viele Kinder waren noch zu Hause? Zum Beispiel, wenn 3 Mark.
So this is basically, I mean, in some ways, this is a continuation and more of what Nazi Germany wanted to do. Well, at least that they said that they were going to do. You know, is have these resorts and everything else for people and provide Volkswagens for everybody and whatnot. And of course, instead, the German Democratic Republic, you know, had the Trabant instead, you know, the Trabi. So I think in a certain way, I'm going to say this and be very revisionist, but I would say that the German Democratic Republic is the realization of what the Nazi Party said they were going to do. Is that a hot take? Let me make sure here. Is that a hot take? Is that a hot take? I just want to make sure here. Is that a hot take for me saying I'm not going to say it again. Don't worry. I'll just wait for a response. I mean, it sounds kind of like a hot take. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of a lukewarm boilerplate take, but that's kind of what I feel like. Anyway, let's continue.
Hat man nur 8 Mark bezahlt, 4, 5 Mark und ab 5 Kinder.
For 3 kids, 8 marks. Oh wow! So instead of giving medals as Nazi Germany did, they were able to go to these, go to the beach and everything else like that. It's interesting, of course, that they have clothes because, of course, the German Democratic Republic as well was very heavy into the nudism. They were very much nudists as well. But I think that's kind of a German thing, really, because the Nazi Germany also did that, and West Germany did that as well. But yeah. Now, both elements of the DDR might have been a factor for this. So maybe not that much of a hot take. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's kind of lukewarm, but that's kind of, yeah, maybe I've been, basically I'm just repeating stuff that other people have said. I do realize that. You know, I do realize I'm not that original, but I figure I'd just say it out loud. Anyway, we'll watch a little bit more of this and then we'll call it good. We're just vibing, folks. We're just vibing.
Brauchte man gar nichts bezahlen.
Es gab durchaus Bereiche, die ich anerkennen konnte und auch anerkennen musste. Das soziale Engagement vieler Menschen war bemerkenswert, wie überhaupt der durch alle kultivierten Gesellschaften gehende soziale Aspekt durchaus auch berücksichtigt wurde in der damaligen Gesellschaft.
The thing is, I really do wish FKK is good, not degenerate, and is healthy. No. See, the thing is, what I would say is this. I wish, on a certain level, I could be a leftist. But since I live in the United States, leftism is... It's either cringy MLs who give lip service to, allowing migrants in and not having a common language. It's like, well, let these people in. Well, don't you want them to learn language, or the native population learning Spanish or understanding their culture? Or you can't just let people in and then not have some sort of understanding. You know, that's why that's one of the biggest causes of inequality to me, is not understanding the culture. And of course, people like Vosh will just say, well, it's not up to those folks. It's up to, the kids and everything. I don't know. But I really do wish I could become a leftist, because I can definitely sympathize. I can really appreciate having socialized healthcare and having that safety net, and not just have this empty capitalist culture. But unfortunately, I'm a product of my environment, this and that. So I don't know. It's one of those things where You know, I just show my my reluctance, you know. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue on here.
Und Anhänger gefunden hat. Auf der anderen Seite hat mich abgestoßen der Ausschließlichkeitsanspruch dieser Gesellschaft. Das ist etwas, was man im Grunde genommen.
The thing is, what I would say about that is the idea of the German Democratic Republic and the party being the only one is that there were capitalist influencers. And there were, you know, a lot of, you know, I cannot think of the abbreviation offhand, but basically the West German intelligence agency started by Reinhard Gehlen, you know, who were trying to infiltrate the German Democratic Republic. So there is that aspect. Once again, I mean, I sound more like a tanky when I say that, but it's like there were certain aspects that needed to be talked about, you know. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue.
Mit einem kritischen Verstand gar nicht so begreifen kann, denn überall, wo Menschen handelnd in Erscheinung treten, machen sie auch Fehler. Und ich habe also.
I don't know if y'all will like this. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat then. Hey, what's going on, Cornholio fan 1995? How are you, sir? There we go. We'll go ahead and drop that in the chat there. And that's the link to the video. Go ahead.
Nicht nur in der Medizin, sondern in vielen Bereichen des gesellschaftlichen
Worst part is that many of these errors were never
Fehler
corrected. Yeah.
Die nicht korrigiert wurden.
Da heißt es zum Beispiel in der Verfassung der DDR von 1968, der Mensch steht im Mittelpunkt aller Bemühungen der sozialistischen Gesellschaft und ihres Staates. Jeder Bürger hat das Recht auf Schutz seiner Gesundheit und Arbeitskraft und jeder Bürger hat das Recht auf Fürsorge der Gesellschaft im Alter und bei Invalidität. Da passt die Kirche natürlich ausgezeichnet rein mit ihrer Aufgabenstellung, ohne dass es ihnen vielleicht immer so recht gewesen ist, dass wir das mit einem anderen Ansatz, aus einer anderen Motivation, mit einer etwas doch anders gearteten Priorität noch gesehen haben.
Weiß ich noch genau, da habe ich für einen Apple 90 Mark bezahlt. Und den gleich.
I think that this is, like I say, the DDR had some collab with the Socialist Right Party. Oh, really? Oh, yes. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The Christian Democratic Unionist, man, like the partisan system in the DDR. Yeah, I was gonna say I know what you're talking about. The party with Remmer. Colonel Remmer, the one from the Großdeutschland division. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I thank you for making me remember that though, Ole. Yeah, that is true. The one who stopped Operation Valkyrie from taking place and, the July 20th bomb plot, basically.
In der Kühltruhe für 40. Und da haben wir immer gesagt, wie lange macht dieser Staat das noch? Alle gesagt. Weil der war gerupft und ausgenommen. Stell dich mal vor, der Staat war auch gerupft oder wie das. Aber wo kann sowas gehen?
Ich würde Ihnen sagen, 1971, als Ulbricht abgelöst wurde und ich dann auf dem 8. Parteitag als Kandidat des Politbüros gewählt wurde, glaubte ich, jetzt kommt eine gute Zeit. Und es bahnte sich auch dran. Die Einheit von Wirtschaft und Sozialpolitik. Es wurde davon gesprochen, mehr das Gesicht dem Volke zu. Das waren alles.
Been reading Hegel recently. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah, go to the source. That's what I say. There's definitely foreign intelligence influences in the party, the Christian party. That was the main reason why the DDR disintegrated, in my opinion. They do talk a little bit about that in this series, in the final one, because there were a lot of the Christian groups who were definitely pushing the idea that of tearing down the wall and everything else. So yeah, there is that element. Yeah, let's continue forward here.
Hoffnung bei mir, die ich glaubte, jetzt gehen wir den richtigen Weg. Und ich bin auch der Meinung, dass, was Sozialpolitik anbelangt, bei uns vieles gemacht worden ist. Aber es passt ja nicht mit der Produktion mehr überein. Wir haben uns ja, wie sagt man selber, die Haare vom Kopf gefressen. Ne?
Als Kernstück dieses sozialpolitischen Programms erweist sich in immer stärkerem Maße das Wohnungsbauprogramm. Es ist darauf gerichtet, bis zum Jahre 1990 die Wohnungsfrage als soziale Frage zu lösen. Das Wohnungsbauprogramm ist unseres Erachtens auch deshalb als Kernstück des sozialpolitischen Programmes zu bewerten, weil es zutiefst die Familie berührt. Für ein glückliches
Religion is part of state ideology. It always flares up as a tool of trust when the U.S. is about to do something big, such as an international war or something. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true. But, arguably, though, I mean, it's more complicated in the United States because ultimately in Germany, for the most part, it was just Catholicism and Protestantism, as far as I know. Correct me where I'm wrong, chap. Whereas the United States, if there is Catholicism, and of course there are cringy trad casts like Nick Fuentes, and you have evangelical Christianity as well, which is, as far as I know, is a much more American invention, unfortunately. Joel Osteen and people like Creflo Dollar, this and that. And then, of course, you get, the cringy pagans and everything else, but I don't really count paganism. I mean, that's cringe. I think we can all agree on that, right? Paganism is cringe. I will continue to say that. I think that I'm not going to completely crap on all of it, but I will say that if you consider yourself a pagan in 2020, you're either just being edgy or you're Varg. But anyway, I'm sorry. I just wanted to dab on the pagans. But then you get into like Buddhism and Islam as well. But yeah, I do agree overall. Religion is part of the state ideology. They have to be careful because we can't have, the sort of, the red terror and tearing down churches and everything else either. Because that's, once again, that just reinforces, the right wing and supports the reactionaries. Same thing with, the phalangists and the Carlists putting aside their differences and saying, well, we got to save the Catholic Church of Spain. Of course, everyone was so mad because they're like, well, we need to tear down this cross that's in Spain. It's like, why not just keep it? Oh, because it was built by Franco. Yeah. It's so ridiculous, yeah. Much as Varg deconstructed the alt-right, he's just deconstructed a fair amount, I think. I don't say the alt-right deconstructed itself. I want to say the vid advocating for a red-brown alliance. Yeah, I remember that one where he's like, yeah, the left are actually the ones that are fighting these things. Yeah. Yep, I remember I saw that video from other folks as well, but yeah. Varg, I mean, Varg is pretty much is unfortunately just a meme. He's someone to be dabbed on by everybody, particularly right-wing Twitter. It's very sad. It is very sad. It's not really religion that's the opposition to socialism. The party leaders were bribed. Religion wasn't really infringed in the DDR. They had a separate party, for Christ's sake. That's true. That's true. He said the USSR was bad. Yeah. He realized that he had to keep his audience as well. I mean, this is the same thing that you get when you get big audiences. Yeah. That is true, though. Yeah. It's not religion that was the opposition to socialism. Party leaders were bribed. Okay, well, fair enough, Insolgent too. Like I say, my brain's kind of mushy, but I figured that I would vibe with y'all for a little bit. Okay, just a little bit longer.
Familienleben, für aktives Handeln in der sozialistischen Arbeit und eine vielfältige Teilnahme am gesellschaftlichen Leben sind entsprechende Wohnmöglichkeiten von außerordentlich großer Bedeutung. Wir fördern den Wunsch nach Kindern und jeder weiß, dass hierbei
big families can't thrive in tiny, dingy apartments. Oh, Lord.
Rolle spielt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things. Yeah, even in the metal community, he's reduced to church burning meme and Euronymous self-defense stabbing. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, too, as a side note, let me go ahead and close the door. Just give me a moment there, folks. Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, Varg is doing a grift. Yep, I definitely agree with that. and you look up the video where Bart basically advocates Noswell, yeah, I can find it. Let me go ahead and see here right quick. Noswell Varg, there we go. Yeah, here we go.
When I see these alt-right
Yep, this is the one. Okay, here we go.
types walking the streets, I don't see people that I can identify with. They are just basically a bunch of wannabe boomers who want to keep following the track that we have followed the last 70 years or so. With capitalism, with consumerism, with environmental destruction, with everything that is actually causing our downfall.
It's too bad that he just didn't go on BitChute or something like that and continue to produce videos, because now he's on Twitter just making a fool of himself, and just saying like, well, the Native Americans actually, this is just like, bruh, are you really gonna go ahead?
They are not very smart because they don't see the real problem here. These leftists, they are fighting against what I just identified as the problem. Capitalism, environmental damage, spending all our resources and so forth. That's what they
Patel
are
also
fighting
seems to also
against.
hate Christians and is a pagan
And,
himself. Probably the reason why
They're
Varg
even
supports
fighting
Noswell. Yeah,
against the civilization that causes our downfall. In Norway, they have done some research on this, and they have found that these guys, the type that support Donald Trump, they have lower IQ and they have a poorer education than the average Joe. Then we have the leftists. They have been found to have higher IQ and better education than the average Joe. And they attack capitalism, they attack the industry that causes environmental damage, they attack actually the global economy and so forth.
how are they doing that? I'm sorry, let's just be honest. So when were they literally doing that though? I mean, I have never seen them try to take down. I mean, the thing is that since maybe 2014, we have just had play acting. I'm sorry, this is something that I think needs to be brought up. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say something here. Normally, I just keep my mouth shut, but it's like, Varg, when did the left, I say this loosely, but when did these groups ever fight against capitalism? They have done nothing more than to play the role of, of agent provocateur, basically. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to push back. And I know that, like the chat has said, is that, Varg has pushed back on this idea already. But, realistically, I mean, like I say, it's just been play acting between the Proud Boys and Rose City Antifa, or, between Patriot Prayer and, of course, that Michael Forrest Reinhold. It's just been play acting, and it's just, but yeah, I just read the manifesto, and that's where I got that from. Don't really know much about his life. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and continue.
Are attacking the real problem. The nationalists, on the other hand, have been supporting it for decades. And they try now to have more of it. Kind of dumb, don't you think? The problem is that we identify the leftists as our enemy. And they aren't. The enemy are the capitalists. Keep up the system, keep importing massive throwing up countries. It does make sense though for the leftists fighting for the right. They're a bunch of idiots fighting for a continuation of this destructive system.
Saying leftists have higher IQs is not really true. White leftists might have, yeah, but The average white Trump voter has higher IQ than average non-white Democrat voter. Yeah.
I have one more thing to say before I end this video. I live in the countryside in France, and
that is true, though. That is true, Cornhole fan. Yeah, Franco killed leftists at home, but was friends with Che Fidel. Yeah, lol. But I would say it's just that, yeah, talks about beta leftists a lot. He wrote a positive article about Che Guevara. Yeah, the thing is, that's one of the biggest problems with the right in general, especially mud dissident right. But I think the thing is that it was just basically, he wanted to take them out so that they could, so that he could stabilize his country. He didn't like the anarchists and the fact that they were destroying the church, this and that, as far as I know. The forces in Cuba, did not wreck the Catholic Church and everything else, as far as I know. I mean, I'm sure maybe they destroyed a couple, but they weren't as wild as the CNT, FAI, and all the rest of the anarchists in Spain. But that's my take. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and defend every single dissident right thing, but the world is a complicated place, and you make the deals that you have to make to survive. Pragmatism rules the day.
I've been around a bit here in France, and I have seen a lot of so-called leftists, hippies, or whatever you wish to call them. And the funny thing is that they have spouses, they have small, blonde, beautiful children running about in their legs. They live on small farms around permaculture. They're poor, but they're pretty much autonomous. They're doing what we should be doing. So to round this up, I, as a person with a biological worldview, with the main focus being the survival of my subspecies, can tell you that the leftists are not our enemies. Stop identifying leftists as the enemy.
Okay, sorry. Oof. Yeah. He's always with those Soviet camo pants. Well, I've seen him sometimes wear like some... Yeah, you're right. The thing is, the last little bit that I remember before Varg went private on Twitter was that he carved an MP40 and carved an MG42 and also, I think, a Panzerfaust out of wood and gave it to him. Yeah. The FSB leaf suits are better, though. Yeah. I would say I can't completely disagree. But I would be very much more specific about my critical support. I would support groups like maybe the PSL to a point, which are much more controlled and, they keep their folks in line. These specific organizations, I'm being very specific. I'm not just saying Antifa is all one thing. I know Antifa is not all one thing, but more specifically, Rose City Antifa or any of those folks, they can't keep control of their people. So I can't mess with them because ultimately they, that's my take on it anyway, but yeah. So anyway, we'll watch a little bit more and then we'll end this at about an hour. That way, we'll get some good content there. What's going on, Union Army Ball? Welcome back. Okay. There we go. Let's go ahead and keep on with this.
In 10 Jahren 1.400.000 Wohnungen für die Republik.
Ulbricht's motto was, "Our work today determines our lives tomorrow." Under Honecker, this became the unity of economic and social policies. GDR citizens should not be kept waiting. The government promised a rapid increase in living standards. The centralized economy was reorganized to implement this policy. Priority was given to the construction of buildings and apartments in the capital. Older buildings were neglected. All the same, living conditions did improve. The government glossed over more facts. For example, 3 million new apartments were planned. Only 2 million were actually built, but they charged for 3.
Hinter diesen Zahlen stehen gewaltige Leistungen unseres Bauwesens und der gesamten Volkswirtschaft.
The Ore Mountains. Most plants belonging to the Textima Combine were located here. They employed over 30,000 people. In Neudorf, 80% of the workforce was employed at Textima.
This is a pretty interesting little bit here. Let's go ahead and listen to this.
This used to be the staff cafeteria.
Organized anarchist,
also, wenn
yeah.
man in eine Fabrik kommt und sieht sich den Speisesaal an, dann weiß man, was ein Werkdirektor für seine Belegschaft übrig hat. Was ist denn für einen damaligen DDR-Bürger das Unternehmen, der Betrieb gewesen? Viel mehr als das in der Welt sonst üblich ist.
I think I said this before, but just for Union Army Ball and folks that just came in, this is a documentary on the German Democratic Republic. This was filmed in 1993, so this is fairly recent. I mean, fairly close to when a lot of the guys were still alive. So I think, including this guy named Sturtevant, which was a very popular guy. He came very close to becoming the president of the German Democratic Republic, but I think that he's a little too unpopular and pissed some folks off. But anyway, let's continue.
Wir haben immer gesagt, von der Wiege bis zur Bahre ist ein Betrieb für alles verantwortlich. Das ist also aus der Sicht eines damaligen Generaldirektors oder auch Werkdirektors. Es beging damit, dass wir ja eigentlich geholfen haben bei den Familienproblemen. Die Leute kamen in den Betrieb, wenn sie eine Wohnung brauchten. Damit ging es los. Sie kamen in den Betrieb, wenn sie eine Stelle brauchten, um jemanden zu pflegen. Es ging so weit, sie kamen in den Betrieb, wenn es darum ging, notwendige Wünsche zu erfüllen. Ich will mal sagen, bis zum Trabant. Das alles spielte sich hier ab. Die Kinder waren im Betriebskindergarten. Die Kinder wurden betreut in Betriebsferienlagern. Die Kinder wurden dann geführt in den Beruf und meistens lernten sie in dem Betrieb ihrer Eltern. Das ist hier ganz typisch.
Now, this is some good stuff here. Now, this is something, like I say, it's a whole different time now, and technology is a whole different thing. But, this idea that, your kids can learn in a similar trade as your parents are. This is something that's still, I think, there to a different degree, but I think that, that would be great. So if your dad was a plumber, you learning about being a plumber as young as you can, I think would be very valuable. But of course, like I say, I know it's a whole different time now. This is the problem with socialism today and pushing for those ideas. Is that technology has reached a point where, we have reached that point where now we don't need as much manual labor as we used to. Now, of course, it is still being used because it has not reached a point where it's cheap enough for folks to buy. But I think that, it's an important thing. But yeah, they should have painted the apartment in buildings or something. Yeah. The DSA, Food Not Bombs, SRA, currently Antifa Twitter accounts. Via City, probably some more. Yeah. Their organizations, some nonprofit. Yeah. I think they would be called anarchists. Yeah. Yep. Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to have some dead air there. Let's go ahead and continue forward here.
Und wenn es dann in der Ehe Probleme gab, dann ging es auch wieder in den Betrieb, weil das Kollektiv, dieses Wort, ich will es ruhig mal sagen, da eine Rolle spielte und weil die Kollegen helfen sollten, das zusammenzuhalten. Wenn einer mal mit dem Alkohol nicht klarkam, musste die Brigade ihn erziehen oder sein Kollektiv erziehen. Und wissen Sie, all diese Dinge, ich könnte das ganz weiter ausdehnen. Wenn ich bloß mal daran denke, die Wohnungsbaugenossenschaften, die waren meistens betrieblich organisiert. Wer also eine Wohnung brauchte, musste das über den Betrieb machen. ganz wenig staatliche Wohnungen gab es hier in dieser Gegend. Und wenn ich heute mit Berufskollegen spreche aus den alten Bundesländern und wir unterhalten uns so über diese Fragen, dann sagen sie, das kennen wir nicht. Das ist für uns etwas ganz Neues. Und jetzt verstehen wir die Reaktion so mancher Menschen hier in den Betrieben. Also man hat ja erstmal sehr viel länger gearbeitet als bis zum 65. Lebensjahr. Das hatte auch einen ganz nüchternen Grund.
Too low for that luxury. Yeah. It's very sad. It's very sad, to say the least. Yeah, not gonna lie, like sort of Soviet and Eastern Bloc architecture. Something about the harsh reality of them appeals to me, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. You can do what you want to. Yeah, based. That's what I'm saying, post-Nazgul.
Viel zu niedrig für die Menschen, die eigentlich im Krieg ihr Haut zu Opfer trugen und dann hier fleißig gearbeitet haben. Also bei uns hier im Werk waren viele 70 Jahre haben wir noch gearbeitet. Und die Rentner wurden auch gut betreut. Es fanden mehrmals jährlich Rentnertreffs statt und Weihnachtsfeiern und wie das so alles war.
The home of the Schneidenbachs, a working-class family in Neudorf. 4 members of the family used to work at Textima. Today, it is only the son.
Wenn eben in der Zeitung stand, der Plan ist erfüllt oder wurde erfüllt und übererfüllt, und wenn es dann nichts zu kaufen gab oder dann schwer was zu beschaffen war, wie bei uns hier oben, wir mussten mit fast jedes Kleidungsstück oder was in die Kreisstadt fahren. Und wenn wir reinkamen, gab es nichts. Mussten wir wieder nach Hause fahren und dann 3-4 Mal oder. Und
was haben Sie denn gesagt?
Man hat ihnen gesagt, wie es ist.
Man hat es gesagt, wie es ist.
In der Zeitung steht immer 300%.
Das kann doch nun nicht sein, da stimmt doch nun was nicht. Also,
in vernünftig tun kann man schon sagen, aber es hat sich nichts bewegt.
Aber es hat sich nichts getan, wenn wir schon gesagt haben. Entweder wussten sie es doch selber auch oder wie oder was oder.
Yeah. See, I think in certain ways, I mean, like I said, this is fairly fresh, 1993, during the, just 4 years after the end of the German Democratic Republic. And I think that there's some good stuff in there. I think it's fairly well balanced. You can say what you will, but I think that, yeah. Is that they still observe the world with some capitalist perspective instead of finding alternatives to the GDP like Bhutan does with their happiness scale. Yeah.
Ich kann mir das heute gar nicht mehr so denken oder was die sich gedacht haben. Haben die uns wirklich für so dumm gehalten?
Der Fetisch Warenproduktion als Leistung.
This is output acceleration was a fetish.
Abrechnung wurde dadurch aufgebauscht, dass eben Maschinen in einer Fabrik montiert wurden. Dann hat man sie zum Lackieren 50 Kilometer in die nächste Fabrik geschafft.
We're painting in factory in the next town. They went on the books a second time.
Ein drittes Mal hat man diese Maschine dann in einem dritten Betrieb abgerechnet.
In a third company.
Der
wow.
hat dann periphere Technik, also Handhabungstechnik dazugefügt.
Some kind of peripheral.
Und so wurden aus einer
multiplied
Maschine
by 3. Wow.
3 vom Wertausweis her vergegenständigt worden.
See, so like they were saying, is that it was 300% output, when in reality, there wasn't that much being produced. This is something that happened to a point under Mao Zedong as well. The numbers were just made up. So, I mean, like I say, this is something that does need to be resolved. I think if a real socialism does come about. But yeah, nature and facilities be very obscure and hard to find. Hidden bunkers and all of that. Yeah.
Waren sie nur als eine Maschine vorhanden.
Wurde die Mitarbeit auch oder die Interesse überhaupt, denn das wurde das alles so fleckmodischer. Hatte keiner dann so richtige die Initiativen. Ja, die wurde alles dann lustloser. Ich meine, wo man Anfang so in den 50er Jahren, da haben wir gemerkt, da haben wir noch gespürt, es geht aufwärts, es bewegt sich was.
Mit den Frauen, mit denen ich jetzt noch Umgang habe, und ich kenne auch hier durch die Arbeit sehr viele, haben eigentlich ihren Beruf gerne ausgeübt. Sicher waren auch Ursachen dabei, dass wir natürlich die Frauen im Beruf oder in der Berufstätigkeit brauchten. Aber ich denke, für den größten Teil der Frauen war es auch der Wunsch, sich sozusagen in der Arbeit zu.
Yeah, and low. Low the games all here, yeah. It's called gross national happiness. Oh, really? I think they prefer very unnatural architecture. Yeah.
Beweisen. Damit waren sie wer, auch wenn es sozusagen dieses Frauenbewusstsein nicht gab, aber Selbstbewusstsein bei unseren Frauen gab es. Und ich denke, also ich wäre froh, wenn ich sozusagen diese Chancen auf dieser Strecke noch hätte, denn Wahlmöglichkeit habe ich heute auch nicht.
Yep. Like I said, once again, man, I mentioned this before, but the German Democratic Republic today, or at least East Germany today, is in such a shambles. And ironically, of course, the far right groups have definitely sprung up much stronger in Eastern Germany compared to West Germany. Comparatively, speaking. Particularly after the stabbing. This is the most ironic thing. This is literally Germany. I think this is like 2018 or something like that, where a German Cuban guy there was a fight between an Iraqi migrant and a Syrian migrant, I believe. And they were arguing or something like that, and this guy was trying to break it up, and this Cuban guy got stabbed. And there were big riots and everything else. And, of course, everyone was upset. Oh, the far right is rising and everything else. And, of course, I think that in Chemnitz, there is still a statue of Marx, which was a big thing as well. But, yeah. I think it's very interesting to say, nonetheless. Go ahead.
Christina Emmerich is employed under a job creation scheme. She runs a health and counseling center for children, the elderly, and foreigners.
Was an meiner Auffassung deutlich wurde, war, dass dieses Schenken sozialpolitischer Maßnahmen, dieses den Menschen geben, doch bei vielen von uns das Gefühl erweckte, und das ist nun mal so, das habe ich, ob ich was leiste oder nicht, dass ich zum Schluss gar nicht mehr richtig schätzen konnte.
Yeah.
Also eigentlich sind unsere sozialpolitischen Maßnahmen doch nicht erkämpft worden.
We're not the spoils of class
Letztlich
warfare.
sind sie auch durch Leistungen in der Produktion untersetzt
Fruit of
worden.
production and performance.
Zum Ende nicht mehr. Wir wissen, dass diese
At the end, it did
Einheit von
balance
Wirtschafts-
out.
und Sozialpolitik immer mehr zu Lasten der
Social policy was
Sozialpolitik ging, die
sacrificed,
Wirtschaftspolitik nicht mehr die
Lying
Voraussetzungen
economy
schaffte.
got priority.
Aber sie sind nicht
Our
im
benefits
Kampf
were conquests.
erzwungen
Yeah.
worden.
Jeder Familienplan hat folgenden Sinn. Er muss die Persönlichkeitsentwicklung.
Yeah. Bavaria is so Catholic, they will always lean right. Yeah. East Germany had the short stick anyway, to be honest. Less industry compared to West Germany. Yep, that's true. And then the Soviets forced them to do all heavy industry. And they just weren't built for that. The German Democratic Republic was not built for that. Strip mining was a huge, huge thing. And like I say, I mean, there are large parts of Germany, that are destroyed because of coal, digging for coal and everything else. That was the whole thing, is that the German, anarchists were fighting to try to prevent the rest of the forest from being taken down. But yeah, that's something that isn't talked about as much about Germany today. But anyway, go ahead.
Entwicklung jedes Einzelnen berücksichtigen. Heutzutage
We're going to
sind wir doch
skip
in der
past
Lage,
this
dass wir
fake
einen
wall.
wirklich exakten Familien-
There we go.
Im Schwedenmuster gebaut und das hat ja die Stadt übernommen. Es gab ja sonst nur kirchliche Heime und städtische
Churches
Heime.
operated some, the state
Gab
others,
ja
yeah.
damals nicht. Caritas-Heime kannten wir noch, die waren sehr klein. Das waren so mit 30 Personen oder höchstens mit 50 und das war eben damals dieser Renner. Das hat die Kommune selbst getragen und sicherlich auch mit Glanz und Gloria. Ich schätze mal, wenn ich jetzt Personalkosten und Essenkosten weglasse, wir hatten ja damals auch nicht die Gehälter, schätze ich mal, haben sie ungefähr zu jedem Platz noch 500 Mark zugebuttert.
There were only a handful of old age homes of this standard. People's benefits were drastically cut when they retired and stopped supporting society. Benefits were used to bribe people to help meet certain targets, such as the better utilization of female labor and an increase in the birth rate. There were not enough funds left over for the elderly. In the end, 3 million pensioners had to compete for 130,000 places in retirement homes.
Yeah. Very sad.
Nur ganz kurz, dass die 7 Falten bedeuten Disziplin,
Ehrlichkeit, Pünktlichkeit, Sauberkeit, die Liebe und Achtung des Menschen, und ich möchte sagen, nicht nur des Menschen, auch vor dem Menschen. Die Achtung vor dem Menschen, die sollte man nicht vergessen. Dass man durch die Zimmer geht und sagt dem einen war, siehe. Man muss immer daran denken, leg selbst dort.
Yeah, that's true.
Kennen Sie als Schwester dieses Hauses, die Sie täglich betreuen.
These are very nice stories, though, but I think that we'll go ahead and skip to this here. There we go.
Körperlich Erkrankte, da hat man das erste Mal versucht zu erfassen, was tut sich eigentlich bei uns im Lande. Nach der Kriegszeit 1939 gab es das Euthanasieprogramm. Durch Hitler waren viele Behinderte umgekommen. Das hatte man alles aus dem Blick verloren nach dem Zusammenbruch. Ich denke schon, dass so in den 50er Jahren, 54 etwa, man begann, dieses wieder zu erkennen, zu sagen, Mensch, hier ist eine Aufgabe, die uns ja auch noch bevorsteht. Ich muss noch dazu sagen, weil das eine sehr wichtige Zeit gewesen ist. In den 50er Jahren hat dann die DDR in der Tat versucht, alle kirchlichen Einrichtungen zu übernehmen.
I remember that video, you know, about, yeah, you're correct. They did, yeah, they did over whale a lot. They killed like thousands of whales, and they didn't even use everything. But yeah, that is true though. There are land absolutely no ports before the DDR. That's true. The maintenance of the wall must also have been a consequence of funding of social programs. I hear the Berlin Wall is quite expensive to keep up. Oh yeah, I imagine so. Why is it the former Warsaw Pact countries in Russia are seemingly not as cucked as Western countries? Also, why didn't the sexual revolution happen? Well, it was a whole different type of thing. You know, I think that they had much more old school feminism that happened, and not the sort of liberal CIA control feminism that happened in the West. They had to pretty much build an industry themselves. The Soviets took the capital products in the former Nazi regime. Yeah, that's true. Once again, I don't deny that. I'm just saying is that the German Democratic Republic did rely on the Soviets to get that technology. I guess I prefer stuff constructed by humans to be very ordinary. I don't like human contracts to be chaotic, since that always seems to be done better by nature, in my opinion. Yeah.
Und das auf sehr eigenartige Art und Weise. Man hat die Einrichtung teilweise besetzt und ist sehr unfair.
Damals üblichen Tagungen, Zusammenkünften.
Here we go.
Viel stärker beschäftigt haben. Und uns auch mit Gedanken des Alters überhaupt nicht so beschäftigt haben. Wenn ich mir es heute im Nachhinein überlege, ist das so absurd, weil die Führung war ja auch nicht mehr im jüngsten Alter. Also
I think that still, like I say, I mean, I've repeated this before, I'll say it again. I think this is a very well-balanced documentary where they will say, yeah, the German Democratic Republic did do good things, but unfortunately the bureaucracy brought it down. The fact that their economy was not producing enough. And I know, once again, yes, the West did do bad things. Yes, that is true. But it has to be balanced out, right? So I don't know. There's no great answer. It's like we can all live in the past and, you know, try to get a sense of it. But it's just like, you know, that's my take anyway. You know, I try to look forward to a point, you know. And sometimes I've larped a little bit. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue.
Eigentlich wäre es das Normalste der Welt gewesen.
A hospital in East Berlin. Despite technical and structural deficits in the health system, patients still felt well looked after. A surgeon gives us his view of things.
Die Qualität der Betreuung im Gesundheitswesen in der ehemaligen DDR war ganz wesentlich eine Qualität der Betreuenden. Wir hatten ein ganz hohes Engagement sowohl der Ärzte als auch der Schwestern, von denen es bedauerlicherweise viel zu wenig war. Und dadurch Erscheinungen in Bezug auf die Betreuung der Patienten hatten, aber das Engagement des Einzelnen war sehr ausgeprägt.
Went all out to help their patients.
Man konnte mit dem Versicherungsausweis ohne große Umwege tatsächlich gleich bis in die Facharztbereiche vordringen und sich dort Rat und, wenn es irgend geht, natürlich auch Hilfe holen. Das war ein großer Vorzug, würde ich meinen. War zumindest für jeden Versicherten so. Ich vermag nicht eindeutig zu sagen, ob Beschränkungen in der gesundheitlichen Betreuung existierten für
primarily Western European, because liberal ideal for
sagen wir mal ganz allgemein missliebig waren
or almost maybe because food was so cheap in the East, so the West Berliners just brought
keinen Einblick,
all of it up.
Wie die Behandlung zum Beispiel bei Gefangenen war.
Yeah.
Ich habe gehört,
like I say, well, yeah, but it's also the fact too. When I will say that, the wall was needed because food was so cheap in the East, so West Berliners just brought all of it up, and took them from East Berliners. That was probably true in the early days, in the late 1940s up through maybe the 1950s. But I think it was a whole different type of thing. Once again, you have to look at, like I say, that this documentary is saying is that they inflated the numbers later on, this and that. So that, like I say, it's multiple different levels to say. It's like, I don't think the GDR, the German Democratic Republic, was some evil thing. I think they did a lot of positive things, but just as with a lot of, these, Soviet bloc countries, I'll just use that term loosely, they were mismanaged. And they were just part of this old school system, and they just fell into bureaucracy. And I think that's what needs to be said. So I will acknowledge, that there were very many positive things that happened with the German Democratic Republic, but I think we need to use them as an example. We can't go back to that time, I think, they did, but we can't just sit here and just praise and praise and praise and say, oh, they did so many good things. Oh, they did so many good things. How does that translate to today? And that's what we need to be worried about. So if we really do want to make a change, we have to be able to say, yes, look at these positive things they did, but let's try not to fall into the trap that these folks did. That the mistakes that happened. That's the triple beam weight that you have to look at, or the just the balancing, the scales that we have to look at, of the good versus the bad. Fair enough. I think the DDR would have been a lot better if the Soviets stayed out of their affairs more. That's true. But I mean, they still wanted to keep, I can't really say. I'm not going to make any too many evil comments and, sound like an evil capitalist or some ANCAP. So let's continue.
Dass da die Betreuung von Mitpatienten zum Teil gemacht wurde, zum Teil aber eben auch von inhaftierten Ärzten. Die materiell-technischen Möglichkeiten waren begrenzt. Sie entsprachen durchaus nicht dem, was man in Westeuropa gewöhnt war. Innerhalb Buchs sprachen sie an, die Einrichtungen im Klinikum und das Regierungskrankenhaus. Da war der Unterschied erheblich besonders in der Ausstattung der Gebäude.
There were very few private practices. Most doctors worked in the clinics and outpatient departments. Here, doctors from different fields shared diagnostic and therapeutic facilities.
Vorrechte in Bezug auf die Behandlung genossen, wenn man die hierarchische Leiter abwärts gehen würde.
The top of the political hierarchy,
des Politbüros, hohe Parteifunktionäre in den Bezirken.
Of course, not your issue.
Kreissekretären, würde ich sagen. Aber eben nicht nur die Mitglieder der SED, sondern auch die von Blockparteien. Privilegien genossen Nationalpreisträger. Es waren aber auch bevorrechtet Opfer des Faschismus zum Beispiel. Die haben alle erdenklichen Behandlungsvorzüge in jedem Krankenhaus genossen. Ein Umstand, den ich nur für gerechtfertigt halte.
A story of two different eras. Gora, a small town in the Altmark. These families have lived here for generations. Everybody knows everyone else. Many are related. They became well established in the GDR. Some have managed to make a modest living. Regina and Fritz Pohl have a big family. When the collective farms went broke, family Pohl and 2 other families from the village withdrew their fields from the collective farms and became independent farmers. They still keep to their traditions and would like to carry on doing so.
Erstens, ich kannte das gar nicht anders. Meine Mutter hat immer gearbeitet. Und ich war.
Yeah, very interesting to say the least, yeah. But also cooperate with the USSR, more like the U.S. Marshall Plan kind of cooperation. Yeah, there was some of that, Will DeMarco. Yeah. I think the Warsaw Pact states were somewhat free from Moscow, to be honest. Yeah, okay. All right. Let's go ahead and continue here, though.
War ja nun durch die Kinder dann fast 5 Jahre zu Hause.
Stay at home 5 years, yeah. Those 5 years at home were
Da
hard.
hatte ich die letzte Zeit schon fast ich will nicht sagen eine Macke, aber ich war so empfindlich für jedes falsche Wort, wenn Jochen gekommen ist. Ich habe mich erstmal schon gefreut, wenn er kam, dass überhaupt ich nicht mehr alleine war. Also für mich war die Zeit schlimm. Ich weiß nicht, Heidi, dir ging es ähnlich, ja. Und ich musste ja auch so lange zu Hause bleiben, weil eben der Krippenplatz nicht da war. Aber ich war richtig froh, dass ich wieder zur Arbeit konnte und bin richtig, also ein anderer Mensch wieder gewesen, wie ich wieder arbeiten konnte.
Heutzutage, wenn 2 kamen, jeder Dritte geht nicht mehr. Meine Frau würde dann keine Arbeit mehr haben, auf gesagt. Und würde vielleicht Schwierigkeiten haben, später wieder eine Arbeit zu kriegen. Ja, das Geld würde nicht da sein.
Wir haben ja auch als jung Verheiratete, wir haben das noch in Anspruch genommen. Diesen Kredit für junge Eheleute, der war zinslos.
Ja.
Da haben wir 5.000 Mark vom Staat gekriegt, ein richtiges Scheckheft. Das war geschenktes Geld. Also man musste es zurückzahlen, aber in so kleinen Raten, das hat man überhaupt nicht gemerkt.
Nee, das stimmt nicht.
Ja, 20 Mark im Monat haben wir gezahlt. Und pro Kind beim ersten Kind wurden 1.000 Mark gestrichen, die waren dann geschenkt. Wirklich, die waren echt geschenkt. Beim zweiten 1.500 und beim dritten 2.500. Also mit 3 Kindern hatte ich 5.000 Mark vom Staat geschenkt gekriegt.
Ja.
Und wir haben uns natürlich gekauft, die Küche und die Couch, ja, und die Schrankwand.
Das hört sich jetzt nur.
I think if nothing else, like I say, you take the good, yeah. You can use these clips for rural America. Yeah, you could. You really could. Yeah. Like I said, I think if nothing else, I think this is more like a video to at least reflect back and say, look at all the positive things that can happen with socialism. But we have to look at how we can do that. I'm repeating myself. I do realize, but it's such a complicated world today. And, it's so ruled by laptops, by, all this other stuff created from, these rare earth minerals, this and that. And it's so fine to think. And there's so many things that could happen, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too idealistic, but it just seems like there's so much that you can learn. Oh, yeah. Poland elected the leader of Moscow. Moscow didn't want. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Moment so an, als wie das war so der Anreiz für die Kinder, ja.
Ja, auch, aber
Breeding
wenn
incentive,
ich
yeah.
jetzt meine nehme, ich habe 4 Stück gekriegt, 2 auch schön kurz hintereinander, die beiden hier. Da hatte ich dann 4 Wochen vorher Schwangerschaftsurlaub und 6 Wochen nachher. Und dann war Schluss.
See, that's unheard of even today, though. This idea of 4 weeks before she had the child and 6 weeks after. That pretty much isn't, that's not a thing in the United States. Among some companies, yes, there are outliers, but in general, it's unheard of. I'm just saying. Not 2,000 Mark, which I could have used,
Naja, ich meine, gut, ich hätte mich auch gefreut, wenn ich die 2.000 Mark gekriegt hätte oder wie die Gabi jetzt erzählt, ja. Aber ich habe nachher nochmal 2 Kinder gekriegt. Da war die Gabriele schon 10, das ist der letzte geboren. Und ich finde das ideal. Und ich will auch keine Mutter verurteilen, wenn sie sagt, ich habe jetzt 2 und die sind groß und ich möchte das 3. nicht mehr. Aber jetzt sagen, du musst das nehmen, ich weiß nicht, ob das so eine Errungenschaft ist. Also der andere war besser. Ja, und gut, wenn sie jetzt sagen, wir mussten die Kinder kriegen. Nur wie endet das jetzt? Wenn die Frauen sich sterilisieren lassen, weil sie Angst haben, ich werde schwanger.
Yeah. Oh boy, look at Dad. Dad's like, will you stop interrupting your mother? She's about to lose. Yeah. She listened to Giovanezza. They fired all the Nazi teachers and have to train their own teachers. Sometimes the teachers only just a week ahead of the students in learning. Oh, really? Deficit teachers and self-training. Yeah. You should listen to the DDR anthem to close out the stream. Why not? That does sound like a good idea. We'll go ahead and do that.
Sterilisieren lassen. Ich meine, ich bin ja schon 32. Ich bräuchte jetzt eigentlich. Wir haben ja jung geheiratet. Ich habe meine Kinder gekriegt. Ich muss ja drüben soll es ja anders sein. Da kriegen sie ja dann später Kinder. Bei uns, wir haben mit 19 habe ich geheiratet. Und ich wollte auch heiraten. Ich meine, wir mussten nicht heiraten. Wir haben kein Kind gekriegt. Das war so. Heidi hat ja auch früher geheiratet, auch mit 20 Jahren. In der Genossenschaft, wir waren ja alle in der LPG. Ja, alle. Ja. Da war man automatisch pflichtversichert in der staatlichen Versicherungsanstalt. Da haben wir 60 Mark im Monat bezahlt. Bis 600 Mark der Verdienst. Also 600 Mark der Grundverdienst. Davon wurden 10% abgezogen, 60 Mark.
Wow.
Und wer sich noch freiwillig
Additional insurance to increase retirement benefits. Wow.
Der konnte in die FZR gehen. Das hieß freiwillige Zusatzrentenversicherung. Da wurden dann nochmal 60 Mark passiert. Aber nur wenn ich wirklich 1200 Mark verdient habe.
60 Marks
und
more.
dadurch habe ich mir eben einen höheren Rentenanspruch gesichert.
That's amazing.
Aber wie viel Rente ich mal gekriegt hätte, kann ich jetzt gar nicht sagen. Also ich habe 720 Mark verdient, 72 Mark im Monat habe ich dann Versicherung bezahlt. Und die Genossenschaften waren steuerfrei, weil die Genossenschaft insgesamt am Jahresende diesen Beitrag abgeführt hat. Sodass ich, wenn ich jetzt wirklich 720 Mark brutto hatte, dann habe ich ihm nur 72 Mark Abzüge gehabt, mehr nicht. Das andere habe ich ausgezahlt bekommen. Und damit war ich rentenversichert und krankenversichert. Also ich konnte zum Arzt gehen, brauchte nichts bezahlen, das war bei uns alles frei. Wir brauchten auch nichts zu bezahlen bei Arzneimitteln, nichts. Das war alles frei.
Jedes Jahr wurden wir alle vom Betrieb, mussten wir hin.
Reihenuntersuchung.
Reihenuntersuchung. Da wurde kostenlos den Termin, Röntgen oder alles. Es wurde alles durchgeschickt.
Na was zum Beispiel? Diabetes?
Ja,
Zuckertest,
Blutdruck. Die Lunge vor allen Dingen.
Lunge jetzt, war ja damals mal mit TBC. Ja. Und Tetanusimpfung wurden wir auch. Ja. Diese Tetanusspritze 1, 2, 3 Mal wurde bestellt.
Wow. Pretty amazing though, I have to say. Pretty amazing to say the least. Oh, have a good one, Post Juchi Nosbo. Yep, have a good one. Have a good one, buddy. See you later. Yep. We're almost done, folks. We're almost to the end of this. I just remember, this is a very good series, I do have to say. You should look up this History and Economics channel. Look at the History and Economics channel on YouTube, and you can find the whole series. There's 7 videos. Great series, though. I do have to say, this is one of the great series. I have it downloaded on a thumb drive. But yeah, great series. I love this. A lot of interesting stuff here.
In jedem Ort und in 5 Dörfern ungefähr.
5 villages had a doctor's patient.
Die haben zu wenig Geld gekriegt, die Rentner.
Had low pensions.
Wir können ja nur, also, wenn ich jetzt mal, wir nach Buchholz gezogen sind, hat oben in dem Haus noch Oma Becker gewohnt, also die dritte Frau von meinem Opa. Und die hat ihr Leben lang hart gearbeitet, kann man sagen, von 14 bestimmt an. Hat ja auch immer viel erzählt, was er alles gemacht hat. Also die hat immer gearbeitet und die hat 340 Mark gekriegt. Und da habe ich immer gedacht, na, die war auch anspruchslos, wirklich. Die hat sich eben so an Kleidung nicht viel gegönnt, ist auch nicht weit weggefahren.
I do admit, though, I do have a certain respect for folks that work on the farm and do that sort of thing, because for me, I'm a city slicking fool. You know, and I'm probably just going to be some insurance schlub, probably, working at some place like that. But I do have a certain respect for that. But I do realize that I have no place, being on a farm. I do realize that at the end of the day, but yeah. Go ahead.
Ja, das ist mal ein Dorf spazieren gegangen, aber es war schon fast alles. Dann hat sie mal eine Fahrt mitgemacht von der Volkssolidarität. Sie hat also auch selber nicht viel Geld gebraucht. Sie hat auch jetzt niemanden mehr gehabt, den sie unterstützen hätte wollen.
Wenn ich jetzt sagen soll, dass Lebensmittel, Brot und so, das war viel zu billig.
Das war zu billig, ja.
Also da müssen wir ehrlich zugeben, das war viel zu billig. Da wurde sehr viel Schindluder mitgetrieben. Die haben das wirklich doll verfuttert und gemacht.
Oder mit dem Schwein zum Beispiel. Wir haben Schweine gefüttert, da haben wir beim Abgeben Schwein 1000 Mark gekriegt. und dann haben sie das kaputt geschnippelt, Wurst draus gemacht und hat dann bloß 600 Mark gekostet, wenn man die gekauft hat, ungefähr. Ja, und dann haben wir uns ausgerechnet, das kann nicht gehen, haben wir gesagt. Das ist
books wouldn't balance.
Alle gesagt.
Ja, und da.
Es galt als selbstverständlich, dass man eine Arbeit hatte.
Sick
Es
pay was
galt als
taken for
selbstverständlich, wenn
granted,
man
yeah.
krank war, dass man Krankengeld bekam. Es galt als selbstverständlich, dass man in Urlaub fahren konnte, natürlich innerhalb der DDR und in den sozialistischen Ländern. Sogar für billiges Geld. Ein FDGB-Urlaub hat 28% der wirklichen Kosten bezahlt, wenn er in Urlaub gefahren ist. Das andere wurde vom Bundesvorstand dazu beigetragen. Ne? Die Ferienheime waren doch auch alles Zuschussbetriebe.
On average, workers were entitled to 21 days holiday, but there were few places to go in the GDR and most other destinations were off limits. The Free German Union Federation was the largest vacation organization. It offered 500,000 subsidized beds and 3,500 holiday institutions for its members. It organized up to 5 million vacations per year, but even this wasn't enough to meet demand.
Es wird heute gesagt, wenn wir die Brotpreise damals erhöht hätten, es hätte keiner was gedacht. Doch hätten die Leute was gesagt. Die wären auf den Baum gegangen bei uns. Die Preisstabilität war da und sie musste da bleiben. Dass da viel Unsinn mitgeschehen ist. Dass wir die Gurken billig aufgekauft haben beim Bauern. Oder teuer aufgekauft haben. Und dann im Geschäft billiger verkauft haben, als wir sie aufgekauft haben. Dass die Leute sich die Eier kaufen und die Eier wieder zurückbrachten, um sich sogar Geld damit zu machen. Das war mir auch bekannt. Aber ich war für die Subventionspolitik. Im Prinzip. Merkte natürlich von Jahr zu Jahr, dass wir das auf Dauer nicht weiterführen konnten. Denn als wir zum Beispiel die Mieten festgesetzt haben und eine Mietpreiserhöhung, die wir ja schon mal durchgeführt hatten, rückgängig gemacht haben, haben wir für den Wohnungsbau und für die Wohnungsmieten 8 Milliarden Zuschuss bezahlt. Anfang der 70er Jahre. Und am Ende waren es 38 Milliarden. Aber die mussten doch woher kommen. Die Subventionen wurden doch von Jahr zu Jahr mehr.
Now what this gentleman is saying, this guy Harry Tisch, what he's saying here is that basically, well, how are you going to pay for it? Huh? You know, this is one of the things that that libertarians and conservatives will talk about. Now, of course, like I said, it needs to be balanced properly and everything else. And this is one of the things, you know, you can't just completely get rid of accountants. You can't completely get rid of financial folks and everything else. But it has to be utilized the right way. How do we do that? Well, that's up to people smarter than me. I'm just saying is that we need to realize these aspects. It's the same thing even with, you know, the idea of cryptocurrency, this and that. I'm not going to go too ANCAP or libertarian. I'm just saying is that there are a lot of different aspects that can be brought into this. And we just need to realize that. That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead.
Und wo soll es herkommen? Man hat abgeschnitten beim produktiven Sektor.
Die Preise waren ja vorgeschrieben. Und der die gemacht hat, den müssen sie heute noch bestrafen. Wie kann ein Mensch so rechnen? Mein Schwiegervater hat immer gesagt, wenn ein Bauer so rechnet wie dieser Staat, dann kann er aufhören. Das macht er höchstens ein halbes Jahr, dann ist er pleite. Also, und ich finde, die Meinung hatten viele. Aber da will ich ja mal wieder sagen, das hat jeder gewusst, aber keiner hat was geändert.
Wir haben ja davon profitiert. Wir haben ja dadurch Geld verdient. Und wenn ich dadurch Geld verdiene, werde ich doch nicht sagen, nur hört mal zu, ich will für mein Schwein jetzt bloß noch 400 Mark haben, wird ja keiner sagen.
Aber dafür möchte ich für Kilo Roland 12 Mark bezahlen.
Ja, ich meine, das würde ja keiner machen.
Ja.
Und dadurch, uns ging es dadurch gut.
Ja, der Staat hat sich ja woanders wiederholt, denn jeder Artikel, der nachher Luxus war, Auto, Fernsehen und was weiß ich, der hat ja auch wahnsinnig Geld gekostet.
Also man hätte sich die Einheit von Wirtschafts- und Sozialpolitik leisten können, wenn man sie mit den Maßstäben angegangen wäre, die man ökonomisch verkraften kann. Nicht, dass man eine solche Einheit ausruft.
This guy gets owned royally by this economist at the end of this.
War falsch am Honecker-Kurs. Es war meiner Ansicht nach eine Zeit der Hoffnung für die DDR-Bevölkerung. Es wurden ja auch politische Erleichterungen geschaffen, menschliche Erleichterungen, Reiseerleichterungen, alles Mögliche. Es wurde mehr für den Binnenmarkt, für den Konsum getan. Es wurde das große Wohnungsbauprogramm gemacht. Alles das hat Wirkung hinterlassen. Aber die Maßstäbe waren so angesetzt, dass es nicht voll aus eigener Kraft bezahlt wurde und deswegen kam die Verschuldung von über 10 Milliarden.
We imported 10 billion more than we exported.
In den Jahren 72 bis 78. Und die haben ökonomisch dieses Land schließlich in den Ruin gebracht.
Rack and ruin.
Wir haben unseren landwirtschaftlichen Betrieb wieder eingerichtet. Wir haben eine GbR gebildet. Hier haben 400 Hektar Kuhstall gebaut für 150 Milchkühe. Und der Jüngste, der Volker, der übernimmt nachher meine Stelle. Ich könnte jetzt schon einen Vorruhestand gehen, aber das liegt mir nicht. Wir packen das. Verschuldet über 1,8 Millionen. Aber in 30 Jahren muss das absehen.
Wir schaffen es.
Wenn man Angst vor hat, dann braucht man nicht anfangen.
Keine Angst, wir schaffen es.
The Pohl family and others have told us how they saw GDR social policy. People believed that the East German economy would continue to expand, but they paid too much for tight social control. It took all that was produced just to maintain the system. The difference in wages was minimal. Workers were offered little incentive for personal achievement. Shortages dominated the whole country. Connections were vital. Rare goods could only be bought with hard currency. Many knew it couldn't continue like that, but they hoped that the government would sort it all out in the end.
Yeah.
They grew up saying, from the cradle to the grave, and never thought to question it. The GDR lived beyond its means.
For a labor-based currency, like all currency. How are you going to pay for that? Yeah, hammer, go bang. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm curious. Do people here in the chat prefer a gold-backed currency or not a gold-based currency? I have a feeling a similar argument will be rising with the rise of cryptocurrency. Yeah. And the thing is with cryptocurrency is if it's all on a little thumb drive, as far as I know, right? I mean, I'm a little too boomer, but as far as I know, it's all on a thumb drive. Your wallet. And the thing is, if you lose that, you're effed in the A. But for main purposes, antimatter-based currency. Yeah, exactly. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate that. I didn't know what this was going to turn into, and I just decided to just vibe with it. So let's go ahead and listen to the German national anthem from the DDR. There we go. I like stuff that is physical. Yeah. For the final time, yeah. There you go. Well, there you go, boys. All right. Well, I want to thank y'all for enjoying this stream with me. And now I feel kind of sleepy and everything else, but yeah. But I will keep it there, and I hope. I can't really say the next time I'm going to stream because I got a lot of work I'm going to be doing with school. Now everything's kind of jumped into at least second or third gear in terms of school. But with that, I will say good night, and I bid you all adieu. And I think I'll just keep it there. So y'all have a good one. See you later, and goodbye.